The CSS Dauntless hung motionless against the backdrop of distant stars, its polished hull reflecting the faint light of a nearby nebula. The ship's design was deceptive. While it appeared to be a standard exploration vessel, every curve and panel had been carefully engineered for something far more deadly. In the command center, Captain Myray watched the tactical display with growing tension. The alien ships had appeared without warning, dropping out of hyperspace like predators surrounding their prey. There were 17 of them, each easily 4 times the size of the Dauntless. Multiple energy signatures detected, reported Lieutenant Tahoe from his station. His fingers danced across the holographic controls, collecting data on the unknown vessels. Their weapon systems are unlike anything in our database, Captain. Myray nodded, her expression calm despite the gravity of the situation. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, each member knowing their role in what was about to unfold. They had trained for this moment for years, though none of them had expected first contact to happen quite like this. "Incoming transmission," announced Communications Officer Sunhai. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." "Put it through," Myray ordered, straightening her uniform. The alien's voice filled the bridge, a harsh, grating sound that made several crew members wince. "Primitive vessel, you have entered restricted space. Your design is unknown to us. Submit to immediate inspection or face destruction." Myray's grip tightened on the command rail as she studied the alien ships through the main viewport. Their hulls were a strange mixture of organic and mechanical components, with what appeared to be living tissue growing around massive weapon ports. The sight made her skin crawl. "This is Captain Myray of the CSS Dauntless," she responded, keeping her voice steady. "We are on a peaceful exploration mission from Earth. We were unaware this sector was restricted." Laughter echoed through the speakers, a sound like grinding metal. "Earth. We have no record of such a world or its species. Your vessel is pathetically small, barely worthy of our attention. You will power down your systems and prepare for boarding. Perhaps your primitive technology will amuse our scientists before we dispose of you." Tahoe looked up from his station, his dark eyes meeting Myray's. They had discussed this scenario countless times during their mission briefings. The Dauntless was humanity's first line of defense, disguised as an easy target to draw out potential threats. "Captain," Tahoe said quietly, "their shields are cycling through some kind of biomechanical frequency. I'm recording the patterns now." Myray gave him a slight nod before addressing the aliens again. "We request time to discuss your demands and prepare our systems for shutdown. Our technology may be incompatible with yours." More harsh laughter. "You have one standard rotation. If you attempt to flee, you will be destroyed immediately. Your vessel's capabilities are clearly inferior to even our smallest scout ships." The transmission cut off abruptly. Myray turned to her crew, noting the determination in their faces. They all knew what was coming. "Begin passive scans of their fleet," she ordered. "I want to know everything about their weapons, shields, and weak points. Run it through the quantum computer and start developing countermeasures." "Already on it," Tahoe replied, his fingers flying over the controls. "Their arrogance is making them sloppy. They're not even trying to mask their systems from our scans." Myray allowed herself a small smile. The aliens' contempt for human technology would be their undoing. While they saw only a small, seemingly defenseless ship, the Dauntless was actually humanity's most advanced warship. Its true nature was hidden beneath layers of deception: quantum weapons, phase shift shields, and an AI battle computer that could process combat situations faster than any organic mind. "All sections, begin silent battle preparation," Myray announced over the ship-wide comm. "Maintain power signatures at current levels. Let them think we're as primitive as they believe." As her crew prepared for the coming battle, Myray studied the alien fleet's formation. They had positioned themselves carelessly, clearly expecting no resistance. It would be their last mistake. The next few hours would change the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. But for now, the Dauntless waited quietly, a wolf in sheep's clothing, ready to teach these aliens a lesson about underestimating human ingenuity. The game of deception had begun, and Captain Myray intended to win. In the dimly lit engineering bay of the Dauntless, Chief Engineer Jai-1 moved with practiced precision between the humming quantum cores. The massive cylindrical chambers pulsed with a soft blue light, their true power hidden beneath layers of energy dampeners and stealth systems. Jai-1 checked the readings on her neural interface, the data flowing directly into her mind through the ship's advanced systems. The quantum cores were operating at just 2% of their total capacity, emitting energy signatures that would make any observer think they were looking at outdated fusion reactors. Core temperature holding steady, her assistant engineer Kyung-min reported from his station. Biosignature masking is functioning perfectly. Those aliens won't detect anything unusual unless we want them to. Jai-1 nodded, her fingers trailing along the cool metal of the core housing. The technology beneath her fingertips represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, and its best-kept secret. The quantum cores didn't just power the ship, they bent reality itself, allowing the Dauntless to perform feats that would seem like magic to their alien observers. "Run another diagnostic on the phase shift arrays," she ordered. "I want them ready the moment the captain gives the word." The engineering bay buzzed with activity as her team worked. Each member had been hand-picked and trained for 3 years in complete secrecy. They knew the weight of their responsibility. The Dauntless wasn't just a ship, it was humanity's insurance policy against hostile alien contact. Jai-1 moved to the weapons control station, where the dark matter cannon diagnostics scrolled across holographic displays. The weapons were masterpieces of human engineering, capable of tearing through any known form of shielding by temporarily shifting matter into another dimension before impact. Neural link synchronization at 99.8%, reported technician He Jun from his monitoring station. The ship's combat AI is fully integrated with all crew members. The neural link was perhaps their greatest advantage. While their alien observers saw a primitive crew manning simple stations, the reality was far more advanced. Each crew member was connected directly to the ship's systems, able to react and respond with computer-like speed and precision. "Remember," Jai-1 addressed her team, "when the fighting starts, we'll need to manage the power surge carefully. The transition from stealth mode to full combat power has to be instant but controlled." She pulled up a detailed schematic of the ship's power distribution network. The Dauntless was designed to channel energy in ways that defied conventional physics. The quantum cores could redirect enemy weapons fire, turning their attacks into additional power for the ship's systems. Through her neural link, Jai-1 felt the subtle vibrations of the ship's systems, like they were extensions of her own body. The phase shift arrays hummed with potential energy, ready to make the Dauntless virtually intangible. The dark matter cannons waited silently in their housings, their power masked by sophisticated cloaking technology. "Message from the bridge," Kyung-min announced. "Captain Myray wants an update on our combat readiness." Jai-1 closed her eyes, accessing the ship's communication systems through her neural link. "Engineering to bridge. All systems are primed and masked. We can transition to full combat power in 1.3 seconds from your command." The response came directly through her neural interface, Captain Myray's thoughts clear and focused. "Excellent work, Chief. Keep everything looking primitive until I give the signal. Let them think they're dealing with simple fusion drives and basic shield generators." Jai-1 smiled as she monitored the quantum cores. The aliens surrounding them had no idea they were staring at their own destruction. The Dauntless wasn't just a match for their fleet. It was designed to be superior to anything humanity might encounter among the stars. As she walked through her engineering bay one final time, checking each system personally, Jai-1 felt a mix of pride and anticipation. Soon, these arrogant aliens would learn the true capabilities of human engineering. The quantum cores would unleash their full power, the phase shift arrays would activate, and the dark matter cannons would demonstrate why humanity had earned its place among the stars. The time for hiding was almost over, and when the moment came, the Dauntless would show the galaxy why it was unwise to underestimate human ingenuity. The tension on the bridge of the CSS Dauntless grew heavier as the alien commander's ultimatum echoed through the command center. The massive crawl ships loomed outside, their biomechanical hulls pulsing with an eerie light that cast strange shadows across the bridge. "Your primitive vessel amuses us." The Krall commander's voice crackled through the speakers again. "One rotation to submit the coordinates of your homeworld. Choose wisely, or be destroyed." Security Chief Hai Jin stood in the war room adjacent to the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the enemy fleet formations. The neural link fed data directly into her consciousness, allowing her to process combat scenarios at incredible speeds. Something caught her attention, a pattern in the enemy shields that most conventional sensors would have missed. "Captain," she called out, her fingers manipulating the holographic display to zoom in on one of the Krall vessels. "Their shield matrix has a recurring fluctuation. It happens every third cycle, lasting for exactly 0.3 microseconds. Captain Myray entered the war room, her expression focused as she studied the data. The neural link allowed her to instantly grasp what Hai Jin had discovered. "Show me the analysis." Hai Jin expanded the display, revealing detailed scans of the Krall ship's defensive systems. "Their biomechanical technology requires a reset cycle to maintain shield integrity. During that reset, there's a vulnerability we can exploit." Around them, the war room hummed with activity as other officers processed combat data through their neural links. The ship's AI was already developing targeting solutions based on Hai Jin's discovery. "What about their weapons?" Mirai asked, studying the tactical overlay. "Primarily plasma-based," Hai Jin replied, bringing up another display. "Their biomechanical systems generate massive energy output, but it's inefficient. They waste nearly 40% of their power on intimidation displays alone." Mirai smiled slightly, typical of a species that relies on fear tactics. "They've never needed to be efficient because no one has challenged them." The captain and security chief continued analyzing the enemy fleet's capabilities through their neural links, processing hours' worth of tactical data in minutes. The ship's AI provided combat simulations, calculating countless possible scenarios. "Their formation is sloppy," Hai Jin noted, highlighting the gaps in the Krell fleet's positioning. "They're so confident in their superiority that they've left themselves exposed. We could exploit at least 3 major weaknesses in their current arrangement." Mirai nodded, watching as another simulation played out in the holographic display. "They expect us to either surrender or attempt to run. The thought that we might fight back hasn't even occurred to them." Through the speakers, they could hear the Krall commander continuing to make threats, each one more elaborate than the last. The alien's voice dripped with contempt as it described how they would dissect the human vessel for their amusement. "Security Chief," Mirai said quietly, "prepare a complete combat solution. When we reveal ourselves, I want their first indication of our true capabilities to be their ships exploding." Hai Jin's fingers danced through the holographic controls as she programmed the attack sequence. The ship's AI refined her calculations, accounting for the shield fluctuations and creating a precise timing sequence that would maximize damage to the enemy fleet. "Combat solution ready," she reported. "All weapons can be synchronized to fire during their shield reset cycle. The dark matter cannons will have clear shots at their power cores." Mirai studied the final battle plan with satisfaction. "Send the targeting data to tactical. And Hai Jin, let's give them exactly what they're asking for. Prepare a special data package. When they demand our coordinates again, we'll send them something that will keep their computers busy for a few crucial seconds." Hai Jin smiled as she understood the captain's plan. While the Krall ships were processing what they thought would be Earth's coordinates, the Dauntless would strike. By the time they realized their mistake, it would be too late. The war room fell silent as they waited for the alien commander's next transmission. Through the viewport, They could see the Krull ships growing impatient, their biomechanical weapons charging in an attempt to intimidate the seemingly helpless human vessel. They had no idea they were about to learn a harsh lesson about underestimating humanity. The Krell commander's patience finally snapped. Without warning, energy beams erupted from the alien fleet, their biomechanical weapons lighting up space like artificial lightning. The massive ships had arranged themselves in an attack pattern, confident their overwhelming firepower would obliterate the lone human vessel. But as the energy beams struck the Dauntless, something unexpected happened. Instead of explosions, the quantum shield smoothly absorbed the incoming fire. Through her neural link, Captain Myre could feel the ship's power levels rising as the quantum cores converted the enemy's attack into usable energy. Enemy fire absorption at 100% efficiency, reported Jai-1 from engineering. Quantum cores are channeling the excess power directly to weapons systems. On the bridge, Tactical Officer Taiho's fingers moved across his console with inhuman speed, enhanced by the neural interface. Multiple targeting solutions confirmed. Phase cannons charging with enemy energy. All weapons locked on shield vulnerability points. The Krell commander's voice boomed through the communication system, a note of confusion creeping into its formerly arrogant tone. Impossible. Your shields should have collapsed. What trickery is this? Myre allowed herself a small smile as she watched the enemy fleet's disorganized response to their failed attack. Through the neural link, she could see the targeting data Taiho had prepared. Each shot would strike precisely when the Krall ship's shields cycled into their reset phase. Their fleet is adjusting formation. Security Chief Hai-Jin reported from the war room. They're attempting to concentrate their fire on a single point. Still no recognition of our true capabilities. The Dauntless hummed with power as more enemy fire was absorbed and converted. The quantum cores were now operating at 40% capacity, far beyond what the alien sensors could detect through their stealth systems. All weapons systems primed, Taiho announced. His calm voice betrayed none of the excitement coursing through the neural network. Phase cannons aligned with shield vulnerabilities. Dark matter artillery ready for secondary strikes. Myre stood from her command chair, watching as the alien fleet continued their futile assault. Each blast they fired only made the Dauntless stronger. Through the neural link, she could feel her crew's readiness, their minds synchronized with the ship's combat eye. Send them a message, she ordered. Text only. The message was brief. Thank you for the power donation. Allow us to return the favor. Before the Krell commander could respond, Myre gave the order that would change the course of human history. Fire. The Dauntless transformed in an instant. Its primitive hull reconfigured, weapon ports appearing where there had seemed to be only standard plating. The quantum cores unleashed their stored power, and phase cannons fired with perfect precision. The first volley struck exactly as the Krall ship's shields entered their reset cycle. Beams of concentrated quantum energy, enhanced by the power absorbed from the enemy's own attacks, lanced out in all directions. 3 Krall ships exploded immediately, their biomechanical hulls unable to withstand weapons they hadn't believed possible. The rest of the fleet scrambled to respond, their formation breaking apart in confusion. Direct hits confirmed, Taiho reported. Enemy shields failing across multiple vectors. Their biomechanical systems are attempting to adapt, but they can't compensate fast enough. Through the viewport, Myre watched as the mighty Krell fleet began to understand the true nature of their primitive opponent. The Dauntless moved with impossible grace, its neural-linked crew and AI working in perfect harmony to press their advantage. The battle had only just begun, but its outcome was already certain. Humanity's first interstellar war would be won by a single ship, armed with the power of human ingenuity and the element of surprise. And somewhere in the chaos of battle, a very shocked Krall commander was learning a valuable lesson about underestimating unknown species. Space lit up with devastating brilliance as the Dauntless unleashed its full arsenal. Dark matter streams, invisible until the moment of impact, cut through the Krell fleet's defenses like they didn't exist. The massive alien capital ships, pride of their empire, erupted into balls of plasma and twisted metal. Direct hits on all primary targets, Taiho reported, his fingers dancing across the tactical controls. Enemy flagship attempting to coordinate a counterattack. The Krell fleet's formation had completely collapsed. Their ships scattered in different directions, panic evident in their erratic movements. Through the neural link, Mirai could feel her crew's synchronized response to each enemy maneuver. Impossible. The Krell commander's voice crackled through the comms, fury and fear mixing in equal measure. You're just one ship. This defies all logic. Mirai's response was calm but carried deadly intent. We're one human ship. There's a difference you fail to understand. The Dauntless moved with impossible grace, its quantum drives allowing it to dance between enemy fire. Each blast that managed to hit their shields only added to their power reserves, feeding the dark matter cannons for another devastating volley. Their flagship is charging what appears to be their primary weapon, Hai-Jin reported from the war room. Energy readings are off the scale. Let them waste their power, Mirai ordered. Engineer Jai-1, prepare to capture and redirect their attack. The Krell flagship's biomechanical hull pulsed with gathered energy, their weapon ports glowing with an intense purple light. The alien commander's voice boomed across all frequencies. Die, human vermin. A massive energy beam, large enough to vaporize a small moon, erupted from the flagship. But instead of destroying the Dauntless, the quantum shields absorbed the blast completely. The ship's power cores hummed as they converted the enemy's ultimate weapon into usable energy. Power conversion complete, Jai-1 reported from engineering. All weapons at 200% capacity. Mirai's next order was simple. Return their gift. The Dauntless's dark matter cannons fired in perfect synchronization. The flagship, drained from its massive attack, had no defense against the enhanced weaponry. The massive ship split apart from within as dark matter streams disrupted its atomic structure. Enemy flagship destroyed, Taiho announced. Remaining Krell vessels attempting to retreat. Through the neural link, Mirai coordinated with her crew to prevent any escape. The Dauntless moved faster than should have been possible, cutting off retreat vectors and methodically eliminating the remaining ships. Panic-filled transmissions filled the comm channels as the alien fleet realized their complete miscalculation. What they had dismissed as primitive technology was systematically destroying their most powerful ships. Please, a new Krell voice begged over the comms. We surrender. Show mercy. You offered us no mercy, Mirai responded. You threatened our world, demanded our submission, called us primitive. Consider this a lesson in humility. Another volley of dark matter streams ended the conversation permanently. The remaining Krell ships exploded one by one, their advanced biomechanical technology proving worthless against human ingenuity. As the last explosion faded, silence returned to space. The Dauntless hovered amidst the debris of what had been a mighty alien fleet, its quantum cores humming quietly as they returned to standard power levels. Mirai looked at the destruction through the viewport, knowing this battle would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. No longer would aliens assume humans were primitive or weak. The legend of the Dauntless would spread, carrying a simple but powerful message. Underestimate humanity at your own peril. The remaining Krell ships, desperate and enraged, attempted one final strategy. The surviving vessels, still impressive in their biomechanical might, formed a tight sphere around the Dauntless. Their formation was meant to trap the human ship, leaving no avenue for escape. Quantum cores at maximum capacity, Jai-1 reported from engineering, her voice steady through the neural link. Their attacks have given us more power than we could generate on our own. We can maintain full combat operations for hours. Captain Mirai felt the ship's systems through her neural connection, every part of the Dauntless becoming an extension of her consciousness. The enemy's trap was about to become their own destruction. All crews, prepare for high-G maneuvers, she ordered. Neural synchronization at maximum. In engineering, G1 supervised the shutdown of the quantum cores, ensuring all evidence of their advanced technology was once again hidden beneath layers of stealth systems. The Dauntless would return to appearing primitive and harmless, ready to spring the same trap on any other hostile species. Setting course for Earth, Taiho announced, "All battle data has been secured and encrypted." As the Dauntless began its journey home, the crew knew their actions would ripple through the galaxy. The story would spread. How a single human vessel had annihilated an entire Krall battle fleet. Some would call it impossible. Others would dismiss it as legend. But the debris field would remain, a cold reminder of the price of underestimating humanity. Other species would study the wreckage, trying to understand how their most advanced sensors could detect only simple fusion drives and basic shields on the Dauntless. In the months and years that followed, the effect of the battle became clear. Diplomatic contacts increased as alien species sought peaceful relations with Earth. Those who had planned invasion quietly abandoned their schemes. The galaxy had learned that humanity's apparent technological backwardness was no indication of their true capabilities. The Dauntless continued its mission, patrolling the edges of human space. Other ships of its class were built, each carrying the same deceptive design. But none would achieve the legendary status of the first, the ship that had changed humanity's place among the stars with a single battle. Captain Myray's final log entry summarized it perfectly. "Today marks a new chapter in human history. We have demonstrated that humanity cannot be judged by appearances alone." The Dauntless may have fought a battle, but its true victory was securing humanity's future among the stars. The age of human isolation was over. The age of respect had begun. The Dauntless moved with impossible speed, its quantum drives allowing it to perform maneuvers that defied conventional physics. The ship spun and twisted through space, each movement precisely calculated by the combined processing power of human minds and artificial intelligence. The Krall ships opened fire simultaneously, their biomechanical weapons creating a web of deadly energy. But the Dauntless was already moving, sliding between the beams with microscopic precision. Several Krall ships were struck by their own allies' fire, their shields failing against friendly weapons calibrated to penetrate their defenses. 3 enemy ships destroyed by crossfire, Taiho reported. "Their targeting systems can't keep up with our movement patterns." Through the neural link, Mirai coordinated with Jai-1 to channel power through the ship's systems. The quantum cores hummed as they converted enemy fire into more energy, feeding it back into their engines and weapons. The Dauntless accelerated suddenly, pulling a tight spiral that brought it within meters of 2 Krall ships. The aliens, trying to track the human vessel's movement, fired again. Their beams passed through empty space where the Dauntless had been milliseconds before, instead striking their own vessels. Enemy confusion increasing, Hai-Jin reported from the war room. "Their communications are breaking down. Each ship is trying to coordinate independently." The Krall's sphere of ships began to collapse as each vessel attempted to predict the Dauntless's movements. Their formation, once tight and organized, became chaotic. Ships collided trying to avoid the human vessel's impossible maneuvers. Mirai watched through the viewport as another Krall ship exploded, destroyed by its own allies' desperate attempts to hit the Dauntless. The neural link provided her with perfect spatial awareness, allowing her to guide the ship through gaps that seemed impossibly small. "Their fleet psychology is breaking," Hai-Jin analyzed. "They've never encountered anything they couldn't overwhelm with brute force. They don't know how to handle an enemy they can't hit." The Dauntless continued its deadly dance, each movement calculated to cause maximum confusion among the enemy fleet. The Krall ships' attempts to maintain their trap became increasingly frantic and uncoordinated. "Target their command and control systems," Mirai ordered. "Let's finish this." The dark matter cannons fired again, their streams cutting through the chaos with surgical precision. More Krall ships erupted into balls of plasma, their deaths adding to the confusion of their companions. As the last of the enemy fleet's coordination collapsed, the Dauntless struck ruthlessly. There would be no survivors to warn others of humanity's true capabilities. The legend would spread through debris fields in silence, leaving other species to wonder what force could destroy such a mighty fleet. The breaking point had come and gone, and humanity had proven its worth among the stars. The debris of the Krell fleet drifted silently through space, testament to humanity's first interstellar battle. Captain Myray stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, surveying the aftermath through the main viewport. The quantum cores had powered down to normal levels, and the weapon systems cooled in their housings. "Damage report," she ordered, though she already knew the answer through her neural link. "No damage sustained," Taiho reported. "All systems functioning at optimal levels. The enemy never managed to penetrate our defenses." Myray nodded, then turned to Communications Officer Sunhai. "Prepare a broad-spectrum transmission. Let's make sure the galaxy understands what happened here today." The message she broadcast was clear and deliberate. "To any species who receives this transmission, humanity comes in peace, but we will defend ourselves without hesitation. Remember the name Dauntless, and remember what happened to those who chose violence over diplomacy." The bridge crew worked quietly, documenting the battle for Earth's records. Through their neural links, they shared a collective sense of the moment's historical significance. Everything would change after this. Multiple automated probes detected at the edge of the system, Hai-Jin reported. "They appear to be observation devices from other species. Our battle was witnessed." Myray smiled slightly. That had been part of the plan all along. Let the galaxy see what one human ship could do. Let them understand that humanity's apparent technological backwardness was a carefully crafted illusion.